A century of conflict, the brutal Hundred Years' War. The Hundred Years' War, a brutal and protracted conflict between England and France, spanned over a century from 1337 to 1453. It was a complex tapestry woven from threads of dynastic disputes, economic rivalries, and evolving national identities. At the heart of the conflict lay the English monarch's claim to the French throne, a claim rooted in the Norman conquest of England in 1066. This historic event had intertwined the destinies of the two nations but had also sown the seeds of future discord. Generations of English kings had held on to their ancestral lands in France, creating a persistent source of tension. The French, however, sought to consolidate their kingdom and expel the English presence from their soil. Adding fuel to the fire were the economic interests of both nations, particularly in the lucrative wool trade. Flanders, a region renowned for its cloth production, held significant economic importance for both England and France. Control over Flanders meant control over a vital economic lifeline. In the years leading up to the war, a series of disputes and diplomatic failures further escalated tensions. The English king Edward III had a legitimate claim to the French throne through his mother Isabella, the daughter of the French king Philip IV. However, when Philip IV's sons died without male heirs, the French nobility, invoking Salic law, which prevented female succession, crowned Philip VI, a distant cousin of Edward III, as King of France. This decision infuriated Edward III and the English, who saw it as a blatant disregard for their rightful inheritance. The stage was set for a clash of ambitions and a conflict that would forever alter the course of both nations. The Hundred Years' War, with its complex web of causes, was not merely a struggle for land or power, but a clash of destinies, a testament to the enduring power of history to shape the present and the future. The spark that ignited 100 years of war, Edward III and the French throne. In 1328, the death of Charles IV of France without a male heir ignited the smoldering embers of Anglo-French rivalry into the raging inferno of the Hundred Years' War.
As the grandson of Philip IV of France through my mother Isabella, I see an opportunity to press my claim to the French throne.
However, the French nobility, invoking Salic law, passed over Edward's claim in favor of Philip VI, a distant cousin of Charles IV.
The throne of France is mine by the will of the nobility and the law. Edward's claim holds no legitimacy here.
Edward III, initially hesitant to directly challenge his French counterpart, was eventually persuaded by his advisors and the allure of the French crown to assert his right by force. In 1337 he formally laid claim to the French throne, a declaration that marked the official commencement of the Hundred Years' War. The conflict began with a series of naval skirmishes and raids, with both sides vying for control of the English Channel and vital port cities. Edward III's strategy was two-pronged: to forge alliances with discontented French nobles, and to strike at the economic heart of France by disrupting its trade routes. He found a willing ally in the person of Guy of Flanders, the Count of Flanders, who was embroiled in his own disputes with the French crown. The early years of the war witnessed a flurry of diplomatic maneuvering, as both England and France sought to strengthen their positions and secure advantageous alliances. The conflict quickly escalated from skirmishes to full-scale battles, drawing in not just the armies of England and France, but also mercenaries and allies from across Europe. The Hundred Years' War, once a distant possibility, had become a brutal reality, its flames fanned by centuries of rivalry, dynastic ambition, and economic competition. As the war raged on, it would leave an indelible mark on both nations, shaping their destinies and forging their national identities in the crucible of conflict. The Black Prince, a legacy forged in blood and victory on the battlefield. Edward of Woodstock, known to history as the Black Prince, stands as a legendary figure in the annals of English military history. Born in 1330, he was the eldest son of King Edward III and Philippa of Hainault. From a young age, the Black Prince displayed a natural aptitude for warfare, a trait that would earn him both admiration and fear throughout Europe. His epithet, Black Prince, is believed to have originated from the black armor he wore, a symbol of his formidable reputation on the battlefield.
At the Battle of Crécy in 1346, I commanded the vanguard of the English army, despite being only 16 years old.
His courage and tactical acumen in this decisive English victory cemented his place as a rising star in European warfare. In 1356, at the Battle of Poitiers, the Black Prince once again proved his military genius. Leading a smaller, outnumbered English force against the French army, he secured another stunning victory, capturing King John II of France in the process. The Black Prince's victories at Crécy and Poitiers, achieved through a combination of innovative tactics, superior discipline, and the devastating effectiveness of the English longbow, sent shockwaves through Europe. His exploits not only secured English dominance in the early stages of the Hundred Years' War, but also established him as the epitome of chivalry and military prowess. However, his later years were marked by illness and frustration. Despite his battlefield successes, the Black Prince's campaigns placed a heavy financial burden on England. Moreover, his brutal sacking of Limoges in 1370, though a military success, tarnished his reputation and alienated some of his supporters. Nevertheless, Edward the Black Prince remains a pivotal figure in the Hundred Years' War. His military genius and charismatic leadership left an enduring legacy on English history, shaping the course of the war and inspiring generations of English soldiers to come. Crécy and Poitiers, triumphs of English longbows and military prowess. The battles of Crécy in 1346 and Poitiers in 1356 stand as testaments to English military might and the devastating effectiveness of the longbow in medieval warfare. These two victories, achieved against seemingly insurmountable odds, secured English dominance in the early stages of the Hundred Years' War and left an indelible mark on military history. The Battle of Crécy, fought near the village of Crécy-en-Ponthieu in northern France, pitted the forces of Edward III against those of Philip VI of France. Outnumbered but strategically positioned, the English army, with its disciplined ranks of longbowmen, inflicted a crushing defeat on the French. The longbow, a weapon of remarkable range and accuracy, proved devastating against the charging French cavalry, decimating their ranks and throwing their advance into disarray. At Crécy, the Black Prince, commanding the English vanguard in his first major battle, displayed remarkable courage and tactical acumen, earning his place in military history. The English victory at Crécy shocked Europe, shattering the myth of French invincibility and demonstrating the effectiveness of a well-trained infantry force equipped with longbows. 10 years later, at the Battle of Poitiers, the Black Prince once again led the English to victory, employing similar tactics to those that had proved so successful at Crécy. Facing a much larger French army led by King John II himself, the English forces, positioned on favorable ground, used their longbows to devastating effect, repelling repeated French assaults. The battle culminated in the capture of King John II, a humiliating blow to the French and a testament to the Black Prince's military genius. Crécy and Poitiers marked a turning point in medieval warfare, demonstrating the decisive impact of ranged weaponry and disciplined infantry tactics against traditional cavalry charges. These English victories, fueled by the power of the longbow, not only shaped the course of the Hundred Years' War, but also influenced military thinking for centuries to come. A nation's heroine rises Joan of Arc and the Siege of Orléans. As the Hundred Years' War raged on, France, battered and demoralized after decades of English victories, found an unlikely savior in a young peasant girl named Joan of Arc. Born in Domremy, France in 1412, Joan was a devout and pious girl who claimed to have received divine visions and messages from saints, urging her to take up arms and drive the English out of France. Driven by her faith and a fierce patriotism, Joan, at the age of 17, embarked on a remarkable journey that would transform her into a national heroine and a symbol of French resistance. In 1429, Joan traveled to Chinon, where the French court was residing. There she met with the Dauphin, the uncrowned King Charles VII, who was initially skeptical of her claims. However, Joan's conviction, piety, and her uncanny ability to discern Charles's identity despite being disguised convinced the Dauphin of her divine mission. She announced, "With the Dauphin's support, I, clad in white armor and carrying a banner emblazoned with the fleur-de-lis, rode at the head of the French army. My presence had an electrifying effect on the demoralized French troops, who saw me as a divinely appointed savior sent to deliver them from English oppression." Joan's first major military engagement was the Siege of Orléans, a pivotal battle that would decide the fate of France. The English had besieged the city, and its fall would have given them control of the Loire Valley, effectively cutting France in two. Siege of Orleans held an important place in the Hundred Years' War. Perhaps it's one of the most important battles of this war. We will discuss the 100-Year War in the upcoming video, so stay tuned. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel.